Andy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Andy, is it you cannot see the main room yet?
That's correct. I don't
Okay,
see
we're
the
still
room.
working on that.
Was that like a
I'm gonna mute again.
No, it was like
take
They're
mine
gonna
off.
hear us through these still. Or
Bristol Town Council meeting of April 20th. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. So we usually have Chris Vitale here, who handles all the technical aspects, and is spinning it around on her camera so we can see a little bit of what's going on. And Mike Davis is usually the person who runs the cameras for us, but he's also has some health issues, so he couldn't be here. So that's what all the technical aspects were. So I think we're on. Andy, you can hear us, correct?
Yes, correct.
Excellent. All right. And as I said, the solicitor is zooming in. So, Madam Clerk.
The chairman and members of the council, the first item of business is the consent agenda.
We approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve the consent agenda, but I understood there was two items that you wanted to pull, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. DD2 and DD4.
So there's a motion to that effect. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, I know we just say, okay, let's approve the consent agenda, and quite often we forget that there's a whole pile of stuff in our packet that really, from minutes from the various boards and commissions. So I'd like just to say thank you on our behalf to all of those folks, that volunteer on those boards and commissions. Also, the fact that they keep us informed through their minutes.
Well, good, thank you. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is the submission of minutes, and this is from the town council meeting on March 30th, and these are action items only.
Second. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is B1. This is public hearing, and this is Christopher Clayla for Toasted Bun Hospitality LLC, doing business at Statesman Tavern, 31 State Street. And this is a request for transfer of the Class BV liquor license to Peter A. Carvelli of 12 Catering LLC, doing business as Folia, and this is under new ownership. We did, if I may say, there was an objection to the transfer because of a claim, but we did receive today, and the council will note for the record that we did receive the release of that claim today.
Thank you. Pointed out, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? If you could state your full name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Attorney David Dalbashian, address 70 Jefferson Boulevard, District 300, Florida, Rhode Island. We're here. It's no Carvelli, who will come up in just a second. He will be the potential new owner of the restaurant that was formerly known as Statesman. Now, as Mr. Carvelli's plan is, in effect, his intent is to open up a restaurant that is plant-based with a very casual environment and with the added request of the sidewalk alcohol service as well. That's also Carvelli is an experienced chef who has been in a number of pop-up events. He's had great success with a number of media exposure for this event and for his numerous events. And his intent is to really add to the character of downtown Bristol. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Carvelli now and let him tell you a little bit about what he wants to do.
Evening, members of the town council and town officials. My name is Peter Carvelli, as my attorney said. I live in Bristol, in North Farm, and with my wife Linda. I'm looking forward to opening a business in this beautiful town, in our beautiful downtown. I'm not serving steamed kale and smoothies just because it's plant-based. Don't get nervous. It's homemade pasta, innovative appetizers, and flatbreads, vegetable dishes that might surprise you. Nobody will leave the restaurant hungry, I'm sure. We also have plans for innovative, well-rounded wine list, craft cocktails, non-alcoholic cocktails. And I've already selected, we've selected the East Bay Food Pantry as our local charity. We're already planning some events to support the conscious of a liquor license and the responsibility that comes with that, and respectfully ask for your approval of the transfer and these other licenses tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second. Motion made by Tim, second by Tony to close the public hearing. Any discussion?
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is C1, and this is ordinance 2022-2, chapter 16 to motor vehicles and traffic. And this is to amend the parking on Rock Street, Shaw's Lane, and Bryan Avenue. This is second reading for adoption.
Motion to approve the second reading for adoption.
Second. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Is there any discussion?
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks.
So Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is C2. This is ordinance 2022-3, chapter 16 of motor vehicles and traffic. And this is to amend the parking on St. Elizabeth Street. This is second reading for adoption.
I move that we approve the ordinance.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is C3. This is ordinance 2022-4, chapter 11 to fees and charges for beach passes and one-day season. This is for student and parents of the Bristol Warren Regional School District. And this is first reading for adoption.
We'll take a motion, and I know that Tim Shaw is going to give us some clarity.
Okay, move that to be considered first reading.
Second.
This constitutes first reading discussion. Tim.
So last year, on July 6th, the Parks and Recreation Department received a directive from Administrator Contenzi. And his directive was to allow families, whether they were from Bristol or Warren, specifically Warren, with students in the Bristol Warren Regional School District, to have access to the season pass or the daily pass rates that we have for Bristol residents. So as soon as it stopped raining in July, we had this available, and the intent of his directive, I'll read right from it here, was to encourage healthy outdoor activities during the summer for the students of the Bristol Warren Regional School District, and we're looking to continue that. We did, over the last 2 years, approximately 300 season passes. About 50% of them are senior or veterans that we do free pass for. And for the Bristol residents, it's $20. So when we got this going in July last year, we had 16 Warren families with confirmation. They'll show us, a lot of times parents will have the app on their phones, so they can show us the report cards, and we ask them to show proof that they have a child in the school district. So it went well, it was well received. I know the administrator is looking to continue that. After the summer and the fall, Warren Parks and Recreation Director had caught wind that we were doing this, and Tara Thibodeau got in touch with me on some details. And she's gone, I think, through the town of Warren, and they are going to reciprocate. So they have exactly the same fee structure we have now. So for a Bristol resident or a Warren resident with a child in the school district, it's $5 during a weekday, $10 on a weekend, or they can get a season pass from Memorial Day to Labor Day for $20.
So Tim, an obvious question from this council, when we look at this sheet, Saturdays and Sundays were crossed off and put in, I'm sorry, is a student of Bristol and parent of Bristol were $5 and they're 10. Was that just an error in?
It may be, okay, it may be.
Okay. All right. So it was in the past. So this is not an increase on the weekends.
It is
right?
not.
This is just a continuation of what we've already done.
Exactly. It's a continuation in offering this to Warren families with students in our district.
And Bristol families.
Oh, of course. Yeah. But it's that.
They always have.
Any other discussion?
I think it's nice to include foreign families and Bristol families, and it's a beautiful beach. So it's great.
And it's nice to see that they reciprocate. Agreed.
So I was gonna ask, yeah, that's awesome.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for the clarity. You're welcome.
Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is C1, and this is the licensing for Peter Carabelli, 12 Catering LLC, doing business as Folia, 31 State Street. Request for the Class BV liquor license transfer from Pacific Clayla from Toasted Bun.
Based on all the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Been made by Tim, seconded by Mary. To this discussion, normally I would say this is your opportunity for a 30-second commercial. You kind of did a great job with that right in the beginning, but honestly, I'll give you another opportunity if you want it, and if not, we can move forward. Okay, perfect. All right. So hearing no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Wish you the best.
Yes, good luck.
You can wish him the best a couple more times. He's on here a
That's
couple
what
more
I
times.
figured.
The next item on the agenda is D2, and this is Peter Carabelli, 12 Catering LLC, doing business as Folia, and this is the request for vitrilling license.
Based on all positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And item Z3 is also Peter Carabelli, 12 Catering LLC, doing business as Folia on 31 State Street. And this is the request for the sidewalk use license and the sidewalk alcohol service license.
Based on positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary. Discussion? Chief?
Mr. Chairman, the police department had some recommendations, if you wanted to approve that, with some of the recommendations on number of tables, location of those particular tables, and some times from the memo from Lieutenant Wiseman. Lieutenant Wiseman, the code officer Ray Balfour, went to that location and met with the applicant, and I believe that they worked out a plan where they reduced the number of tables that were going to go outside, one on each side of the door, with 3 chairs at each table. And I believe the applicant was being with the police department in the court.
Any discussion? You want to weigh in? You don't have to. So if you would.
Only to say that we are in agreement according to that recommendation.
Thank you for bringing up that point. Thank you. So, so that was, can you add that to your, Tim? I'm sorry, Tim, could you add that to your motion or amend your motion if you want?
I do. So moved.
Okay. Is there a second? By Mary?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now, congratulations.
Thank you very much. That's official.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is C4, and this is Susan Arona for the Bristol 4th of July Committee. This is the request for one-day dancing and entertainment license for the block party, dance party on June 18, 2022.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
The chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is Terry Swing from Nature's in Rock Shop, 416 Medicon Avenue. This is a request for holiday sales license, and I believe he is here in the audience.
Terry here?
Yes.
As we're currently looking to open up the second location, we are currently in been in business for 15 years. And we're looking forward to operating our business on that level.
Terry, what is your business?
Nature's Rock Shop is a Rockville Bristol also shop. We sell Native American items. And my wife is taught in CCI as a professor in geology. She teaches geology at the school. Has her past students put in a check. And I talk to her all the time.
It was a wonderful 30-second commercial. What's this council's pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
The chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D6. This is Ann Mata from the Bristol 4th of July Committee. This is the request for the mobile food truck establishment event permit for the outdoor concerts from June 19th to July 2nd.
Make a motion that we approve with the recommendations and obviously, watches with all of the recommendations, particularly since you're going to be working with them and stuff.
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? I'd just like to take a moment and point out how many things were just on here for the 4th of July. How much effort and effort goes in by the committee to make such a great event. So outstanding.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D7, and this is Edward Turnbull for Custom Catering Inc., doing business as 195 Franklin Street. And this is a request for transfer of the Class BD liquor license to David Farabend for the Franklin LLC. And this is new ownership, and this is called for public hearing on May 11th.
Motion to call for public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, to call for public hearing on May 11th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Were they?
They're here. I don't know if you want them to, the new owners and the former owners.
Well,
Or
you know,
soon to
what
be.
we'll do is thank you for coming. On the, we have the public hearing on the 11th. Please be ready for a 30-second commercial. Kind of got a thing going here. And back in front of us, since we voted for you, and now we have appropriate time to speak.
Welcome. You're welcome. Unfortunately, I know you're probably all excited that we're going to deal with this tonight, but that's the process, unfortunately. Okay. Or just you
The chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D8. This is Caroline Almonte from the Our Lady of Mount Carmel School, 127 State Street. This is a petition for a bingo license on May 13th, 2022.
Based on all the positive recommendations, make motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D9, and we have Steve Cavalieri from the Cup Defenders at 230 Wood Street. This is a request for a one-day dancing and entertainment license for a fundraiser on August 13, 2022. I believe Steve is here. Yes.
Your name and address for the record. Steve Cavalieri,
Welcome. So you have a request for this council for a one-day dancing and entertainment license on August 13th.
Yeah, what is the trying to these funds for the improvements, their projects, the future put us there on the property, so there's a lot of funding to get there. Whether it's in the outdoor, or the outside of the property.
Excellent. Okay. Council?
Chief, I noticed that you have a positive recommendation. Any concerns? This is also a combination of parking and the activity outdoor.
Lieutenant Blasey did speak to the petitioner and there was an agreement that there would be a maximum of 150 tickets that would be sold for the outside venue. There's a live band. We'll also include some snow fencing so that, the folks wouldn't wander off the property with alcohol. And the other request was that any of the bartenders that work outside be tip certified as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Cavalieri, this sounds very familiar to an event you had last year, Molly Palooza.
Oh, yes, it was a very successful event for the almost home rescue.
It's good that you're putting some, moving money for improving the.
What's this council's pleasure?
Make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to approve. Is there any other discussion?
Hope it's successful then.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody else in favor? No.
I'm in favor.
Any opposed? That was unanimous. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is E1, and this is the dog kennel license renewals for 2022, 2023.
Motion to approve as stated.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Is there any discussion? I lost that part. All in favor? Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is F1. This is Henry Santos of 484 Thames Street. This is a request for the accessible parking space. This is second reading for adoption.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
The next item on the agenda is F2. This is Susan Narone from the Bristol 4th of July Committee. This is a request for permission to use the town common basketball courts for the annual block party dance party on June 18, 2022.
So calls it recommendation, the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is a memo for myself, the clerk, in regard to removal of accessible parking space on 42 Mount Hope Avenue. This is first reading. I almost forgot I was on here. I'm like, oh, that's me. So I did get a call saying that the gentleman who had petitioned for that originally had since passed away, and so nobody was using it. Nobody's been using it for over a year now. So I thought it was. Yeah,
I'd like to see that we open up another parking spot.
right on the street for sure.
And just have it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to approve. I echo my colleagues. Thank you for bringing the resident who brought it to our attention and to ours. We're absolutely able to these parking spaces and also appreciate and no longer need this. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is Evelyn Braun at 118 Constitution Street. This is a request for the no parking space on Cook Street. I have video, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to get it.
So technically crunchy here this evening. So bear with us. So what the clerk is setting up is a newer policy, it's kind of a newer policy for the council through the police department, is that when we get a request like yours, then the police department will go out and they've actually videoed it. So because it makes it so much easier to understand instead of drawings on it, so we can see firsthand what was experienced.
Can I talk yet? Yeah, wait.
Oh, why not? Let's use the time wisely, please.
Only because I read the recommendations and we are not just one. And people are parking behind my driveway as opposed to where they're supposed to be. That's the problem.
So I'm going to ask her to play it. Madam Clerk, if you would mind. Who's driving, Chief? You know?
I
gotta
was
say.
driving.
Outstanding. Please continue.
So we have two cars, not just one. So when someone comes in tight on, and they park on both sides and they park behind my driveway. I did bring a picture that when I bought the house, we've only had the house for a little over 2 years and we only moved in this December. So, and I also noted in the response that there's been no complaints, but the house has been empty for most of the time. So I do have a picture. We did have it blocked off, and when the street was repaved, it wasn't done.
Yes, in fact, that's been an ongoing, I guess you'd call it an improvement or matching reality with ordinance and vice versa. We've cleaned up other streets, including the paved it, even though the block was there, it actually wasn't followed up with an ordinance. So the block was painted there, but there was nothing legally behind it. If someone would park there with a ticket that. So this has happened in other parts of the town that we've cleaned up. But Chief, if you could speak to, if you don't mind, to that maybe a little bit clearer than I just said.
Yes, as the council knows, we're dealing with parking block situations, which are very popular in a seaside type community like Newport and Seaside Province. And we reached out to Newport and it garnered their traffic. Our department had researched extensively on how to address these particular issues. So we tried to take our biggest vehicle, which is a full-size Tahoe vehicle, and park it behind the driveway in an attempt to replicate what the homeowner would go through. And then we pull in a police vehicle and we have the officer back out. In the report, we have found if it takes more than 3 attempts, generally we will approve the homeowner's request that a parking block be installed, or a recommendation to the council that it be approved. But the applicant is correct. I am told that when they did purchase the home, there was a previous parking block at that location. So you saw the video, Lieutenant Wise, he did tell me there was 2 turns by the officer that was driving the car with a full-size SUV behind the driveway. Again, you see, I'm not saying that it's an easy driveway to get out of. The only positive side is, I think, one way, so you're not competing with both sides of traffic. But again, the homeowner is correct. It does require a few turns, and it is complex to pull out, but not impossible.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question, because I think this begs a question, because there's all the other spots on that street that have no parking blocks. And one of the things that kind of came to my mind when I was thinking about this today was how many maneuverable driveways do we have by those no parking spots in town, do you think? I mean, I'm not asking you to predict, it might be more of a rhetorical question than anything else, but
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of challenges in Bristol with parking. Certainly, some of the streets, from what I'm told, began as horse trails and paved over, and a lot of residents, tight, big homes on smaller lots in that particular district. So again, a challenge for the homeowner, but the police department has adopted a 3-turn recommendation, and I don't want to discount the applicant's reason for coming before the council. The other side to it is there was one there before. Again, was no ordinance, and it would require ordinance from the council to meet current standards.
I must tell you, after seeing the video, that was a little bit more difficult than we've seen in other times.
I would agree.
We've had other applicants. So let me just say this for the record. I like this policy. I like seeing not a drawing or a picture, but an actual video of what happened. And so I want to continue with this full steam. In this instance, I would be amenable to potentially putting more parking block back there, I guess, quote, quote. I know it was an ordinance, but that looked really tight to me. I don't know what my colleagues think.
I walked the street. I walked the street today, and interesting enough, that's the only driveway that would not have, a sign across the way. However, with that being said, all other driveways happen to have a crossover driveway, which allows for them to, so you know what I mean? So this is the only driveway that actually does not have another one to back into, but all others do. Interesting enough. I took a little time to walk it through this morning, yes.
And Chief, I was watching the video. It looks like the car on the far right was able to back out, but the applicant is actually saying there's two cars, and I think that's key because that inner car, I wonder. Yeah, I think you're really trying to drive the point home that when that in car that's closest in can't really get out. And that's why, I really think your pocket bar box would be, it's a tight situation here. So.
Any other input? I would imagine if it sounds like the council wants to go that direction, and a motion to refer to the chief and ultimate solicitor to write an ordinance.
So
There was a second down there.
Nope, there was a motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Aaron to approve referring over the administrator, the police chief, and also the solicitor to create an ordinance. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G1A. This is the Capital Projects Commission. There's 2 terms to expire May 2027. We have John Mancuso of 78 Mulberry, who is not looking to seek reappointment. And then we have Susan Rabideau with interest in reappointment, Myra Page with interest in appointment, and Chuck McDonough with interest in appointment.
I mean, there's 2 positions, right?
There's 2
So I
positions.
think we should, give Susan Revenue to her position, and then interview the others for the open position.
And Mary, I just add that we accept John's resignation with a letter of thanks.
Oh, yes.
Is there a second? Second discussion? Okay, so we have a motion made by Mary, seconded by Tim. Letter of thanks to John for his time on the board, and then also to set up interviews for the open position, and then ultimately, of course, to reappoint Susan Rabbit. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G2. This is the planning board. This is 2 terms set to expire April 2025. We have Armin Bellotti with interest in reappointment. We have Stephen Katz also with interest in reappointment. And we also have Myra Page, 423 Hope Street, with interest in appointment.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we reappoint Steve, and Myra's already included on the interviews, the upper part, so.
Second.
A motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to reappoint Armin and Stephen. Is there any other, I'm sorry, and then Myra was mentioned that she previously mentioned as an interview candidate. Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, we have the Police Pension Board of Trustees. This is 1 term to expire April 2025, and Michael Lenarsik is not looking to be reappointed.
Motion to accept Michael's resignation with a letter of thanks. And to go out to advertise
Mhm.
And when
for
we,
this opening.
maybe we could set them up at the same time, these,
Have one
the
interview time for
interviews.
multiple.
Yeah,
board
because
openings?
like, one of the people we'd be interviewing has been invested back in.
I like that idea. Put it all in one evening. To accept Michael's resignation with a letter of thanks, and also to advertise and to set up interviews. I'm sorry, who seconded that? Did anybody?
I'll second.
So Tim made the motion, Tony seconded it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Members of the council, the next item of business is H1. This is Charles Galligan of 83 Fail Street. This was request for council consideration in support of a resolution. We did receive an email from Mr. Galligan saying that he was unable to make it here due to a death, and he's asking to be continued to June 1st.
Yeah. we do
So,
motion.
Motion to continue to the
So
June
Mary
first
made-
meeting.
Mary made a motion. Tim, you're gonna second it? It sounds
Second,
like.
correct. Yeah.
That we will continue this to June first.
June 1st.
June first.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Chairman, members of the council, the next item of business is new business, and this is the executive director of the Rhode Island Bridge Turnpike Authority with a presentation relating to the needs and repairs to the Mount Hope Bridge.
Welcome. So we spoke earlier today on the phone and you said, what time do you think I'll be up? And I said, I don't know, I'd say about 7:45.
Wow.
And we even started 10 minutes late.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
And we would, if they had kept us here longer, we would have stayed because this is very important to us. So I'd like to say good evening and thank you. My name is Erin Silvera. I'm the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority. I know that during COVID, I haven't, it was not possible to get out and meet everyone, although I did try and reach out, and the town of Bristol has been very supportive of us, and we appreciate that. With me tonight, I have behind me is Eric Seabury. He's the Director of Engineering at the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority, and Jeff Goulart, who is the Chief Financial Officer of the Turnpike and Bridge Authority. We're here because we are we have the duty to care and be the caregivers and keepers of the Mount Hope Bridge. As you know, the Turnpike and Bridge Authority is responsible for 4 major bridge structures: the Mount Hope Bridge, the Pell Bridge, the Jamestown Verrazano Bridge, and the Sakaya River Bridge. In addition, a lesser known fact is that we have 10 much smaller bridges that we're responsible for also, and all of the roads that connect all of that. So that's our jurisdiction. We take our responsibilities very, very seriously. As you know, as one of the host communities, the Mount Hope Bridge is an almost 93-year-old bridge, a suspension bridge. As my Director of Engineering will always tell me, that the parts of the suspension bridge are unforgiving, and you must pay attention to every part of the critical components of a suspension bridge. We're here tonight because one of the components of the bridge is obviously the main cable. We love your picture over here of the bridge. The main cables, within those main cables, we've put up here a nice big poster that we put it on the front seats. But as you can see, inside the main cables are hundreds of
Wire strands.
Wire strands. I was looking at you for the hundreds part to see them, but there are many fine wire strands that make up the main cables of the bridge. If a suspension bridge were built today, it would include a dehumidification system. Because of climate change, because of rising humidity levels, what we have is breakage and corrosion of those wires that make up the main cable. It's very important. We want to have the care and keeping of this bridge continue for a long time to come. It's very important that we get this work done soon. We had an inspection done about 6 years ago or so. That inspection indicated that there is obviously, as expected, that there's work that needs to be done. We are looking for the funding for that project. It's an expensive project. It's new technology, relatively new. Started in Japan, but now there are a number of bridges in the United States that now have dehumidification systems. If this were built today, it would be part of the design of the bridge. We're thinking it will cost probably up to about $35 million. That the dehumidification is going on right now.
You're not asking for discounts.
The good news is that I am not.
He is.
Only the CFO. But we're not here asking for money, but we are, and you have already given us your support for this project in the form of support for the RAISE grant. We will not stop until we get this project funded and underway. We have already gone out to bid for companies who would undertake the design of the project right away once we have the funding in place. We are, in terms of looking for the funding, we have submitted a RAISE grant proposal. We did that last year to USDOT, and they tell us that we came within a hair of getting that grant awarded to us last year. We just recently had a second opportunity after a debriefing with the US Department of Transportation, where they told us parts of your project were wonderful. We loved them. Don't change them. Here's where you need to fortify your proposal to us. We did that. We submitted it for April 14th. We expect to hear and wood to knock on in the months to come. We hope to have some good news. If not, there's the mega program that the federal government is offering, where we would not only dehumidify the Mount Hope, but we would also dehumidify the Pell. And we would also, and this would be music to your ears, we would focus our attention on the decking on the Mount Hope Bridge, as well as complete the decking on the Pell Bridge. So that's another opportunity for us. And there are other opportunities beyond that. As we all know, this, infrastructure, thank goodness, is the focus of attention and the focus of funding, much needed funding. So we just wanted you to be aware, we thought we owed you a visit to come and say, hello, this is who we are, this is what we're doing. We hope to get another 50 to 75 years out of this bridge. I know that the George Washington Bridge is 3 years older in New York. And they, you know what? It's actually 3 years younger. It's 90, and they're saying they're going to get another 90 to 100 years out of it. Now they're doing other work on that bridge as well, but it's state of the art technology to run a dehumidification system to keep these cables dry, because that's the problem. That's what's causing breakage and corrosion. So if you have any questions about the project, we're happy to address them.
Well, I have a question, but I think it would be important for you. I read in the articles that the bridge is safe. I think you should just reiterate that point.
Thank you, Mary. I was going there next.
So people don't get worried about that.
And I'll leave that to my director of engineering, since obviously we rely on him, and we've visited and revisited that question. So
Sure. So yes, the bridge is safe, absolutely. Every structure is designed with factors of safety on different elements. The factor of safety on the cable originally, when it was built, was calculated at 2.95. The last time we calculated one in 2016, it was 2.62. However, there's a deterioration curve at the top there. So you'll see that it starts to drop off exponentially. As you start to enter that deterioration curve, you say, well, 1929 to 2016, it took a long time to only drop 0.3-ish in the safety factor, but it starts to accelerate, because once that deterioration, it's like rust on a car. Once your car starts to rust, it goes quick, right? But it may not start for 10 years. So we need to arrest the deterioration. And what happens with the dehumidification system is it takes about anywhere, depending on the cable and the characteristics of the airboys inside, it can take either 6 months or up to 2 years to dehumidify to a level below 40%. At that point in time, it arrests any corrosion that's ongoing and it basically stops it in its tracks. So our goal is to stop the deterioration where the safety factor remains above the 2.15 threshold that federal highway sets. And at that point, the cable at that point is stable. And the cable being one of the most difficult pieces to rehabilitate or replace is you can see why that's the most important part of the bridge. We can fix steel stringers all day long. We can paint the bridge 100 times. We can do deck replacements, things like that. But to replace the cables, you're in the hundreds of millions of dollars at the point where you actually say, you have to just put up a whole new bridge. It, becomes a financial consideration, huge financial consideration. So $35 million, it's a lot of money. But to save a bridge like this and to save us from a replacement sooner than functionally necessary, it's really not a lot.
And what is it? Dehumidification system pumps that are going to be used on this. So how does it really stop the decay, or does it just completely slow it down? And how long does it lengthen the life of those cables?
It actually just about stops it in its tracks. It doesn't just, that nothing is infinite. So it'll probably deteriorate to a point once it's dehumidified that the rest of the structure would control how much longer it will last. So it literally will just stop it in its tracks.
That's great. So it's key to the structure.
It's key. And it's not just the cables, it would go down into the anchorages as well, because obviously the cable attaches down inside the anchorage. So the weakest point of the cable is wherever the most deterioration is. But, I mean, you have to go from start to finish on it, you know.
If we didn't do the cable dehumidification, the next least drastic alternative is cable supplementation, then cable replacement, and then replacement of the entire bridge, which, as you all know, would take years and be quite the undertaking. And in today's dollars would be about $1 billion. Important that we keep this. We could tell the government department.
Chief had a question. Go ahead, Chief.
I would just ask that when construction or permitting begins, that you have a reach with the town administrator and the police department. We do a very good job. We only have a couple of ways in and out of town. So
Sure.
we like to really educate the community on timelines for construction. So different plans, different outlets, message boards, communication with the university, knowing that they have a housing on the other side of the bridge or over in Portsmouth. So I think that's traffic control so that we can work together. But while you were here, I would like to ask you a question. I met you a little over a year ago, and we met with some of the police chiefs and technology to improve police response to attempted suicides and suicides on the bridge. And I know we've reached out to your office to try to follow up on those conversations. You had some cutting edge technology that would identify if a car stopped on the bridge, if a person got outside of the car, and then there would be an audible speak to that person that help is on the way. There would be a notification with the camera system to identify that person, and so that officers can get there. I'm going to be presenting to the council, hopefully at the next meeting or the June 1st meeting, about a camera program that I'm working on that we have a grant with the Patent Foundation to combat or assist in aiding people that utilize the bridges in the state for suicide. So I don't know if you have an update on where that technology stands, but my office is very interested in those.
System, all our employees have been trained on that system, fully operational on the Pell, and we are on the cusp of having it fully operational on the Mount Hope. Eric, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, so it was designed both for Newport and for the Mount Hope Bridge. We finished the full installation on Newport first. So our TMTs, which are the top technicians that work in the operations section, they're there 24/7. We have at least one on 24/7. The cameras, there's a lot of cameras to watch, so they do what's called a camera tour every 15 minutes or so, and they make their rounds just so they pick up everything. But they've been going through and doing a test of basically a testing and monitoring the Newport system to make sure that it's stop vehicles or pedestrians appropriately. We're working through some bugs, quite frankly, but we're proceeding with the procurement of the last bit of material and equipment for Mount Hope. All of the fiber optic wiring is in place. All the mounts are in place. Some cameras need to be put on the mounts. We had to order some special poles. But that's the next phase of the project, is to get that finished. We're actively working towards that now.
I'll be happy to stay in touch with you, Chief, to let you know what the timetable is. It's my expectation that June 1, I will be having some good news for you, indicating that it's operational to the extent that we would.
This council would appreciate an update.
Great points. If I may speak to your comments about the traffic control, that absolutely will be, out in front and open with everything. And I won't stand here and promise that there won't be traffic interruptions, but I can say we've done a full analysis on how this project is, because for us it's new. So with some of the consultants we're working with, they've worked on these around the country. Some have worked internationally. And they've got systems and methods perfected where we can do say off-peak hours or at night, certain very short-term lane closures to be able to offload material onto onto the project. But basically what they'll do is they'll put a scaffolding under the entire cable, and it has an enclosed fence so that the workers, once they get up in place on that, that's where they operate. So the traffic during the day, while they're working, is traffic both directions. Like, again, something may show up to the site, they have to offload it, they'll do like a rolling stop closure, or they'll do something on eager. So we're gonna try to minimize the traffic interruptions, because we obviously know how sensitive it is on that bridge. So
Thank you. I just wanna, I don't have many questions about the report or anything like that. I think they've answered a lot of the questions that I might have had. I just want to say thanks for being here today, because I think it makes me feel a lot safer to know that you guys are thinking about these things. I cross that bridge every day to get to URI campus, and it's hard to believe that 15 years ago they have the 35. So thank you.
I'm so glad to hear that you're not asking to shut down the bridge as it was done previously. When I said the presentation, oh boy, this is serious stuff. No, but we certainly appreciate you being before us and keeping us informed. Your efforts as well to keep the bridge safe.
Thank you. We appreciate the town's support. I reached out as we were preparing the raise grant that we submitted a few weeks ago, and got tremendous support. I pointed out some of the critical issues of why the bridge is so important to the people of Bristol, to the people of Portsmouth, the EMS runs that are done, all of the critical services, whether it's education, health services, all of the things that for which you absolutely need that bridge, including the smaller islands as well. So Prudence Island, and some of the other. So we hope that this time we've convinced the federal government that we're deserving, and we that's what
Let's hope so.
So thank you. Can I also just say one quick thing? I mean, I always kind of, even though we're stuck in traffic a lot of times, I mean, I always commend the bridge in terms of out there upkeeping this bridge. And well, especially when we hear all the problems that we've had with some of the highway bridges and other things in this state, that it seems like my hope, and I don't go over power as much, but that they're always being kept up, that it's painting or whatever. Thank you. You love here. Thank you. Our pleasure.
motion to listen to the phone.
So
Second. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to listen to the phone. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. He's here.
Just checking in. Yes, I am here. The usual Mr. Solicitor, and I'll pop back in. I just thought it didn't look, it kind of was a little distracting having me so large there behind you.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I2, and this is the seasonal outdoor seating on State Street. It's a draft ordinance to the street sidewalks and other public places.
So this is in front of the council. This is proposed. This council, typically we wouldn't have an ordinance in front of us. Question about this one before the solicitor. So the solicitor drafted a draft ordinance in front of us. And gentlemen, if you could state your names and addresses for the record, and show your thoughts.
Street. Brian Travers, 474 Hope Street.
Welcome both.
So, Mr. Chairman, Council, this, I believe, is in follow-up to our original petition, October 2020. We originally petitioned this, and we were just waiting on, I believe, it's from the town solicitor. We are finally following up on it. We're really excited, hoping that we can continue what we've done down there the last 2 summers. Definitely was great for business. tell from every business owner I've talked to in that area, it definitely benefited them. I talked to Greg from Bristol House today, and just briefly got to talk to Peter. I'm glad to meet him. He's taking over Statesman. And then, of course, Elsa from Bar 31. And everyone's still on board. This was a while ago. Everyone's excited. Really just hoping to see this come to fruition on a seasonal basis. We're only looking for it, as in the ordinance, the October, I'm sorry, excuse me, the May project. Bring parking spots in the winter. The number one question I've been asked so far this spring is, when is the outdoor season coming back? So, customer perspective and business. And we really saw downtown was last 2 summers was a vibe in that area. It really created a vibe, people walking around, moving around. I know the 2 shops right there, I talked to quite a bit, even a couple shops on the street, and they've all said they definitely saw a lot more foot traffic and people coming through the doors. So in general, that was great for business. I think the model worked pretty well, and we're just really hoping to continue the season.
Well, I love it. And I'm glad it's back. I'm glad that you've all petitioned for it to come back. I think it was really exciting to have that down there. And, you know, it does bring outdoor seating. I always personally find it kind of difficult, not so much on the wider streets, but in some streets that are more narrow, like to have that outdoor seating with cars right there. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that. Like if I had an option of where to sit, I wouldn't sit at one of those outdoor tables, you know, personally. But I think this is a great plan. And I know that you some fixing up of the area. And if I can either run by your place, or if I can get your email. I don't know if you are familiar with Time Blossom Cafe in Fall River. I haven't been there in a while, but they had done, the city of Fall River had done this really front of their building. So I don't know how much it costs or anything, but it was kind of a really nice leveling off like wood structure. And I had taken some pictures of it. It may have been the first year of COVID that happened. And I could just either send it to you and show it to you.
That'd be great. We're definitely looking for options how to beautify it further.
Yeah.
I think everyone's willing to invest, and even the past was kind of, we did it in a week's notice last time. So
And even if it was
We
just like,
appreciate
even
that.
just the umbrellas and stuff, just like uniform, would add something to that area. But I think it's fantastic. I'm so happy that you're all back here for that.
I'll get you my email address.
Yeah, or your cell phone number. I can text it either way.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I like this idea as well. I want to second what Councilwoman Correll had to say about this. It's nice to see people outside again. You know, and we oftentimes ask you guys to come over if you guys have any ideas. So if there's something that we can do to, you know, bring more foot traffic downtown and things like that, we ask you to come to us. And I'm glad to see that, you know, we have something here before us. And I just went to your State Street Fair event the other day. I must have spent like $100 over there with my kids, but they enjoyed it. They were dancing around and everything like that. But it was really nice to be outside again and see people taking advantage of that.
So in support of the outside dining, I think as we prepare for the marina to open up, we're gonna want to make sure that we're open. The restaurants have a few more tables available to receive those new customers that are coming into town. I agree with you. It also provides sort of a vibe downtown. I am curious about the facility, the equipment and the design of how it's going to look like. Because I want to make sure that design really fits the real look of the downtown as well. It's not out of place, like it kind of fits the architecture around those buildings, right? So I'd be interested to see that at some point. But I think this is a great enhancement.
Excuse me. Like everybody else, I do enjoy the outdoor dining. The only thing I'm looking at is we're looking at State Street. Is it fair? Can we extend this to the entire town to all of the businesses? Because obviously we get a council represent the entire town, not one segment of the town. So I have some concerns. One is parking. We get rid of about approximately 15 parking spots. They will be gone. Right now, it's very difficult to get into a restaurant. If you don't call them the morning of, you're most likely not going to get a reservation for that evening. Now, I understand when we did this, it was a time that was much needed to support the business, no question about that. And do I support outdoor dining? I think I said that before. Yes, I do. The other thing is putting the town on a hook also for liability. Right, the blocks, as stated there, the barriers, that is also a concern. I don't think the town should be on a hook for that. If the business, if it ultimately gets approved, then I believe the business should pick up the tab now.
Liability that they have.
No.
No. Well, I'm sorry, Tom.
Okay. Right. Talking about number on letter F. Okay. So I have some concerns. If we cannot extend this, and I know just recently we actually entered into an agreement that somebody's paying big dollars, for the area that they currently are using. So this raises some concerns with me, the fairness of this. It's not that I don't support the business, you bet I do, but the fair, we have to be fair right across the board. And with this here, I'm not seeing that happen.
I love the outdoor dining. I'm going to hold my concerns until we typically talk about this in second reading. It's not a public hearing, but we tend to hold off on that. I know that there's a lot of people that's important. Once we give them an opportunity to speak, I don't want to. I think, Tony, I'm concerned about the parking. I'm concerned that we just spent some time talking about the parking blocks, right, on a particular road. So giving up 15 spots is a big concern of mine. We bought parking, we bought a parking lot on State Street. We have a lot of negotiations. So certainly parking is important. I do say this too, is that I love the outdoor dining. I don't necessarily love it there. I do like the sidewalks. I love bringing it outside. I like the, what was it? Somebody said vibe. Is that you, Tim? They called it vibe. Yeah. I like the feel of it. But I'm happy to hold back the concerns and certainly have more dialogue until the second reading. So it sounds like we've got a majority to take a vote to refer to the solicitor. Actually, have an ordinance. Yeah, because we would have it on the next meeting for the first reading, dialogue that one, and then the following one will be second reading. What is that? All right, is there a motion?
Motion to move this to the solicitor and draft the first reading.
Second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Or abstain? So 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The chairman and members of the council. Okay. The next item on the agenda is I3, and this is Rogers Free Library Director Don Jenkins. This is a request for council consideration to support a resolution for the fiscal year of 2023 state budget allocation for funding of the Bristol Public Libraries.
Welcome. Yes.
Fortunate to have inherited some nice state level advocacy. I bear no responsibility for this other than paying attention and doing some additional research should all of you have questions. The Rhode Island Library Association got the ball rolling with this, and Ed Garcia in Cranston and Cheryl Space in Providence have been extremely helpful. So most states have some formula that's used for the state to give aid to libraries. In Rhode Island, it happens to be 25% of the municipal appropriation. And then there's another calculation that gets more complex for 25% of any endowment. That has not been granted. So the 25% that we would receive of what the town gives to the library from the state has not been at the 25% level since 2009. I've done my best to understand how that's possible, if it's stated in law, and from what I understand, there is a loophole. So what's been introduced into the legislation in Rhode Island is motion for that to always be 25% for the municipal appropriation. And I looked and it says 2023, but I know that that's their intention. So, yeah, I've got more if there's any need, but it would basically be $23,000 for us for fiscal year 2023.
The $23,000 coming from the state and coming from the local government. So if we can get that extra money, I think, we should.
For the resolution.
Do I take that as a motion?
I will.
Yes.
I'll second.
So there's a motion and a second to support the resolution. I must say, I don't like resolutions, but downside only an upside, so it seemed appropriate to take the step. So we wish you luck. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good luck.
Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is item J1, and this is RFP 977. This is on-call engineering service. So this is, so bid 977 is just a request for qualification. There's no bid number, so these are just the people who submitted qualifications. We received 9 today for bid 977. We have one from Jade Corporation doing business as Studio Jade Architects Engineers. The second one was from GM2 Associates Incorporated. The third one was from GZA Environmental Inc. The fourth one was from Caputo and Wick Ltd. The fifth one was from Vanessa and Hagen Russlin Inc. The sixth one was from Crossman Engineering. The seventh one was from Environmental Strategies and Management Incorporated. The eighth one was from Park Corporation, and the ninth one was from Beta Group Inc.
Administrative director, best interest of the town.
Second. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to refer to the administrators. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And same would apply to RFP 978 for the on-call architectural services. We received 5 qualification proposals today. The first one was from Graham Hughes Inc. Architects doing business as GMI Architects. The second one was from Signal Works. The third one was from Brewster Thornton Group Architects LLP. The fourth one was from Jade Corporation doing business as Studio Jade Architects and Engineering. And the fifth one was from BL Companies New England Incorporated.
Motion to reserve to the town administrator director, best interest of the town.
Second. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to refer to the administrators.
Yes, I have a question. I know it says for on-call, but for architectural service, but they were not supposed to provide any numbers as to what.
This is just for qualifications. This is just the referral request for qualifications.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr.
Question.
Chairman and members of the council, the next item business is J3. This is RFP 979. This one does have prices on it. You asked for it. We have the 979. This is Fox Hill Avenue Drainage Improvement Projects. Bid opening was today at noon. We received 3 bids. The first bid was from Narragansett Improvement Company in the amount of $751,460. The second one was from New England Building and Bridge for $605,280. And the third one was from Carty Corporation, $717,076.
For the town administrator director, best interest of the town.
Second. And then
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary. To refer, Diane, just take a moment. This is a big problem.
Sure, this is an area of town it's in the Taylor Brook neighborhood, and it's an area that has no infrastructure currently there. So this is new infrastructure to address the existing flooding problems that occur in that neighborhood. And this is part of the, I believe this is part of the that we were using for this project.
That was much better.
just briefly, I'm so glad to see this. Yeah, this is something that I don't know how many years, people can knock on my door. I can't visit my daughter without having a couple of them visit with me, it's doing some. This is hopefully will be a great relief.
Tony, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I've also had a lot of residents always mentioning this project and like the drainage project.
I'm looking for waterfront property, right? Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is J4, and this is RFP 980. This is the professional auditing service. Bid opening was today at noon. We received 2 bids for that. We have one from Markham Accountants Advisors. And so this was tiered into fiscal year 22, 23, and 24. 2022 was 45,000, 2023 was 46,000, and 2024 was 47,000. The second bid was from Haig, Shahadi and Company, CPAs PC, also broken down in 2022 as 25,000, 2023 25,000, and 2024 also 25,000.
Sure that in the best interest of the town. Second by Mayor, before the administrative side discussion, just briefly, dealing with 2 communities and dealing with auditors, it's interesting. I thought we were going through inflation. Right here, what I'm seeing, especially for the folks who have served us already. Right, they provided those great numbers.
All in favor? Any opposed?
So Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is K1. This is Alan Klepper from the Barrington Director, Bristol County Water Authority. This is the monthly report from March 2022.
Motion received and filed.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to receive and file. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
And then now I believe we would pull DD2 and DD4.
Mr. Chairman, this was very nice to attend the 100th birthday of William Vargas. It was colored dinner. They had a theme which goes back to the 50s. So it was quite interesting. I was a little bit out of character at the party, but I didn't see it. But it was very interesting. But the main point I want to focus, besides one of our residents, is that he served our fire department, our volunteer fire department, for 75 years. Well, has served, didn't serve, has served. We're looking forward to him to continue. It's another 25 years, Chief. But it was
serving up with that Chief. Yeah.
But it was very interesting, and he was very appreciative that I was representing the town in wishing, give him the best wishes, and hope that this is another 25. The other gentleman was Augusto Soa, and he's a reporter from the Portuguese Times out of New Bedford. However, you see the newspaper in many of the establishments in town. And it's not just in Portuguese, it's actually in English as well, that it covers and expands the culture, the Portuguese culture through the English language. And he's been at it for actually, it says over 4 decades, precisely 44 years he's been. And, he's done an outstanding job, very humble, also receiving citation from the town.
Second. Motion made by Mary, seconded by Tim to receive and file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? My colleagues are ready to go, so am I. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. I'm sorry, she
Can you get the same thing?
No, just
Okay.
want to let you know I was still here. And I'm calling.
Oh, he hasn't. I'm like, well, I was not expecting that voice from her because it wasn't her.
We had a motion from Tim. Is there a second to it? Second. Made, seconded by Tony. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Yes.
Yes. We have a prize. Actually, my best friend, question, I don't know how well I did. My question was like,
Very nice to meet you. Thank you.
And I suppose it's the degree. Who are you? So maybe the box.
Figured I should stick around since I said, okay, I would offer to help out if that's useful, great. So I thought I should stay the whole time.
Well, interviews will be set, don't put that here on.
Yeah, that's right. That's great.
Thank you for your.
Yeah, well, I think that.
Well, I don't think
My car down, I was like, okay.
I haven't even experienced, well, I have.
But then when
I could. I have a lot of experience.
Especially
with the jobs I've been in.
And I don't even get on the first.
I could tell.
That charter review. I've done a bunch of different training.
Talk about you. I heard you talking about it. 746.
To know what the projects are, and the funding of those and so on is complicated and important. And so that was good for me as well. So I moved from Arizona. Bought a place in 2018. COVID moved. And so we have family in Outborough, Mass.
That guy, don't come to the council.
Well, I mean, you're
Don't follow up.
52.
Fantastic. Just like you. Oh, it's great.
So.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, no, it's great.
You asked me to take a day out.
It's okay. I agree. It's nice. Now, hearing stories about, 50 years ago,
Not about.
the women in schools when they were kids were told to walk on.
Yeah, so the other issue.
On High Street and State, they're like, let's find this yard. No.
And
that was a tough area.
People just stay
Something
in the back.
I know.
I guess that people find this like as soon as they've been talking, but it seemed like the right thing to do to stay, so here I am.
Hey, you are.
Nobody advertises.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's.
I'm not saying, well, I'm just not gonna give the liability. Yeah. Civil.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
if we don't approve.
But you just share it with them. I set up a sheet. I just
So live
so
doc.
I set up a sheet with people I share with.
And then you can have space to add narrative if you need to, right?
There you go.
Yeah, this police department usually has narrative.
Well, I don't even talk so much
Yeah.
about.
The only thing is that they don't need
AJL.
I'm talking more about like.
But I don't think there's space for planning.
Some rudimentary, whatever. Yeah.
There was a spot.
Water pollution.
So
Wait,
there-
Jeremy.
there
Have a
are-
good night. Whatever. Have a good night. I'll talk to Steve about it. Great idea.
Okay, and so.
They would get elevated.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah. So,
You know what?
So next time I meet you, it's good. You too.
Yes. No downside. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's not, I haven't heard buzz about people saying we shouldn't have these. So the first time I ever heard about it was when you talked about it at the. Yeah. Oh, back when you still. Yeah, yeah, they've been controversial. Yeah. It's just, I'm sure we should fight government. I get it. Yeah, so we'll satisfy. Hey, I got one of those East Providence tickets. My wife was there. Oh,
So I just want to throw my stuff out. I mean, I want to.
My wife was at. Mr. Administrator, permission to secure.
Make the rest of the week off.
I'll figure it out. Right, chief. Yeah.
Where it was absolutely obvious and critical at one point, we listened to it.
It's interesting because I know Steve.
You were up there.
Basically the same thing, same thing. So we know, but he was saying. The people that work in. It's like a certain type of professional. Oh, in war.
Because, so we right now.
Oh my gosh, and I saw you pictures.